Welcome back to another keyboard review, where today I'm absolutely thrilled to get my hands on what could perhaps be my endgame 65% keyboard, the TG67 V3 from Kinetic Labs. With a hefty price tag of $279.99, today's video dives deep into whether this keyboard could finally end your search for the perfect setup. Before we begin, I want to point out that Kinetic Labs sent this keyboard out free of charge for the purpose of this review, but rest assured all opinions you'll hear today are completely my own and unbiased. Let's cover off the unboxing experience before we progress any further. Unlike most keyboards, the TG67 comes in a durable hard carry case instead of the usual box packaging, offering a premium unboxing experience right from the start. I'm really impressed with the design and material of the case. As somebody who frequently travels, I can see this being my go-to carry case. Whether the TG67 V3 stays in it or not remains to be seen. Getting into the case, the keyboard itself comes in the main section with a pre-installed sample of Gatoron Milky Yellow Pro switches and secured by these stretchy straps. There's a super soft separating layer where on the other side you'll find the accessory kit. In the kit you'll get a USB-A to USB-C cable, followed by a standard dual keycap and switch puller, as well as a couple of Allen keys for both the case and daughterboard, some rubber case feet, and most impressively, a lube syringe. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised by the unboxing experience. It struck me as quite a niche experience, almost assuming it's not the first time you've bought a keyboard, but also including all the essentials. Okay, I'm going to quickly go over some of the main specs and features before I get into my own thoughts and opinions. The TG67 V3 comes in at $279.99 on kineticlabs.com. It's got a compact 65% layout. It's equipped with QMK and VIA compatibility. With the main specs and features out of the way, before I get into my own thoughts, let's tear it down and go over my specific configuration. So, flipping the board over, there's 8 hex screws on the underside that you'll need to remove before the top plate lifts right off. You're then getting a polycarbonate plate with minimal flex cutting and foam gaskets on either side of the plate for that bouncy typing experience we all love. You're then getting a layer of plate foam with a separate spacebar piece. Next, you're getting a 5-pin hot swappable PCB with south-facing RGB LEDs and Duroc V2 screw-in stabilizers, which I'll dive into further shortly. The PCB is really clean with this little design and no flex cutting, so I'm expecting a nice full sound out of this keyboard. Finally, there's a layer of case foam followed by the daughterboard and connector. Before I install my choice of switch and keycap, there's a few things we need to do. First, I'm installing the rubber case feet that were included in the accessory kit. Next, the Duroc V2 stabs are bone dry and have a considerable amount of ticking, so I've performed the Holy mod as well as used the included syringe containing the Carbon GS3 lube. I'm not going to show me performing the Holy mod in this video because there's tons of tutorials out there that do a really good job. Okay, with the modifications out of the way, let's get into my own choice of switch and keycap. So I recently done a video on the Keyboom Breeze 75, card on screen now, and just love both the keycaps and switches, so I've taken them right out of that keyboard and into the TG67. For switches, I've gone for Keyboom's Matcha Latte switches, which you can buy separately. For keycaps, unfortunately these aren't sold separately, but as far as specs, they're Dice Sub PBT in the cherry profile with nice top left aligned legends. Okay, with the teardown and build configuration out of the way, let's start by discussing the design and aesthetics. Straight away, I'm a really big fan of the vibe of this keyboard. I've got the mint theme on hand for this review, and I think paired with these keycaps looks extremely elegant. The TG67 is available in a total of 9 colour variants, so there's a good chance they have one to suit your style. Whether you opt to add on a set of keycaps from Kinetic Labs or use a set of your own, I think these case colours have a lot of potential for some really nice looking builds. The finish on the case has a subtle sheen that I really like. I believe it's an anodized finish, but Kinetic Labs, if you're watching, correct me if I'm wrong. Being aluminium, 6063 aluminium to be precise, the TG67 has a good weight to it, making it feel all the more premium. It feels substantially heavy with an exceptionally sturdy, robust construction. To the touch, the case feels both smooth and somewhat coarse at the same time. Hard to explain. Flipping the board over, I'm going to quickly go over some of the physical features on the case. First and most notably, the underside contains this brass weight with a nice looking TG laptop design. Then it's just got a rubber case foot in each corner, followed by the 8 hex screws for disassembly. I do want to highlight the minimal design approach adopted under here. In many keyboards, it wouldn't be uncommon to find a load of random information on stickers, so I admire the minimal nature of the TG67. Moving around to the edges, the board features a single box case design, but cleverly the top housing has an interesting shape, giving it the impression that it's actually a box-on wedge case design, which many might find more attractive. I'm all about clean and minimal design, and these edges are just that, with the USB-C port situated right in the center on the back edge. There's a chamfered edge spanning the top length of the case, and I think it looks super sleek. With no other connectivity options visible on the case, unfortunately I am here to tell you that there's no tri-mode connectivity, so no Bluetooth, no 2.4 GHz. Now, that might be a deal breaker for some, whilst others mightn't mind too much. For me, given the board comes with a travel/carry case, I would have expected it to include wireless connectivity. Moving back up to the surface of the keyboard, there's not a huge amount going on up here. The TG67 is rocking a non-exploded 65% layout with 67 keys. Interestingly, there's neither a volume knob nor screen present up top, which might deter some buyers looking for a high-tier endgame keyboard but I think it will draw in equally as many who prefer the more clean look this provides. For me, once you've used the keyboard with a volume knob, I find it really hard to go back, but at the same time I do appreciate the aesthetic this lends itself to. Just something to consider. When it comes to the sound profile of the keyboard, it's hard to give a one-size-fits-all answer because it depends on factors such as your keycaps and your switches, so it depends. In a build like mine featuring light preloop linear switches and dice-sub PBT keycaps, the sound profile definitely leans towards the poppy and slightly clackier end of the spectrum. I'm happy to report that the TG67 comes with both QMK and VIA support. For those that are unaware, that means you need not download any sketchy software drivers in order to customize your keyboard. VIA is trusted and accessible directly from your web browser, and it allows you to remap keys, manage macros, and adjust backlight settings, all on a nice user-friendly UI. To cover off some more features of the TG67, being wired only, it obviously doesn't have a battery. It does, however, have full RGB backlight and lots of modes you can cycle between, and I think this is definitely one of the nicer, brighter backlights you can get. From my testing, the board has N-key rollover or anti-ghosting of up to 6 keys. Okay, as always, it's time to play the sound test before I leave you with my closing remarks and recommendations. So, in my opinion, the TG67 V3 from Kinetic Labs is a premium 65% keyboard that definitely impresses with its sturdy aluminium construction and elegant design. The included carrying case adds a practical touch for those who travel with their keyboards. However, the lack of wireless connectivity might be a drawback for some, especially given the hefty price tag. The absence of a volume knob might be a consideration depending on your personal preferences. That said, the TG67 V3 excels in delivering a solid typing experience thanks to the QMK and VIA support and well thought out internal construction. If you're looking for a high-end wired keyboard that prioritizes design and build quality, the TG67 V3 is a strong contender. That concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider dropping a like and subscribing because your support is greatly appreciated.